Howdy folks, I'm back, and I'm still stuck here in the Z zone. Now I'm not usually one to complain, but it would be nice if I could have more things to do around here. All I could find were a bunch of dusty old records and old books, including one titled, How to Circumvent the 13th Amendment. Well, that explains a lot. But hey, at least I have more slave labor I can do. Okay, so let's see what we have this time. What if Japan never modernized? I guess I can work something fun out for this one. The year is 1603, and the Tokugawa shogunate had just risen to power, with Tokugawa Ieyasu taking control of all of Japan. Europeans had already been trading with Japan quite a bit at this point, spreading Christianity along with them. However, the shogun was worried about the spread of Christianity, calling it the Christian problem, as he believed it to be a destabilizing factor. And so, his solution was to persecute and execute Christians en masse as he nearly completely eradicated the religion in Japan by 1644. And through their policy of sakoku, they forbade foreign travel, even going so far as to block people who had left Japan from re-entering. The Dutch, however, were still allowed to trade, but were restricted to a small artificial island outside of Nagasaki. This would continue for the next 200 years or so, during which time Japan went through what could only really be called a cultural renaissance. Due to being able to maintain peace for so long, Japan's population, economy, and culture exploded during what would come to be known as the Edo period after the shogunate's capital. However, Japan's growth slowed after a while and would ultimately lead to them stagnating. Many Western powers weren't all that happy about being completely shut out from Japanese trade, and so there were many attempts to coerce Japan into opening up, all of which failed. However, this would change with the United States. By 1850, the US had been rapidly expanding across the North American continent, fueled with the ideas of manifest destiny, and was devoted to spreading the Christian faith. The US had already attempted to get Japan to open its trade in 1846 with the expedition of Commander James Biddle, but this expedition failed, with the Japanese simply turning him away.
Hey Bobby, look, I'm American. I think I'll use my credit card.
However, in 1851, after 17 shipwrecked Japanese soldiers ended up in San Francisco, President Fillmore saw an opportunity to make another attempt at making Japan open up its trade by using the return of these sailors as a reason to launch another expedition. The expedition was to be led by Commodore John H. Aulick, but after getting into a bunch of arguments with people, he would be relieved of duty and replaced with Commodore Matthew C. Perry. Perry knew it would be difficult to get Japan to open up, so he requested greater authority on this expedition, with him being given full and discretionary powers, including the use of force in case the Japanese tried to turn him away. Perry left in November of 1852 and set out for Japan, where he made a show of force in some smaller Japanese islands. By July of 1853, he had made his way over to Edo, where he continued to make a show of military might. He wrote a letter to the emperor, not the shogun, making slight threats in case of conflict. And, included with the letter, he decided to give the Japanese the gift of a white flag, just in case they decided to fight. The shogunate decided to formally accept the letter, and Perry left Japan to return a year later, at which point the shogunate decided to agree to all American demands and opened up Japanese trade to the West. This action would lead to the introduction of Western ideas to Japan, which would allow for the Meiji Restoration and the ultimate downfall of the Tokugawa shogunate, and Japan becoming a major military power. But what if that changed? What if, in an alternate timeline, the shogunate refused to accept Perry's letter and tried to send him away like they had with Biddle? In this timeline, Perry would end up using his ability to use force and fire upon Edo, launching a quick attack. The American troops would be able to easily overpower the outdated Japanese and would likely overthrow the shogun, putting in place a pro-American puppet government in its place, with US troops occupying Japan. The US and other Western nations would send over a bunch of missionaries, meaning that Christianity would spread like crazy in Japan, which would lead to even more backlash against American occupation. Many local lords, called daimyos, would likely try to rise up against American occupation, but once again would likely be crushed by the Americans. These uprisings would force the United States to adopt a more interventionist stance within Japan, increasing its influence over the islands to the point of making Japan an outright colony. With American rule over Japan solidified, America would come out of this conflict as a rising colonial empire akin to those in Europe. With this foothold established, the US would seek to solidify its hold over the Pacific, conquering many islands, likely including Hawaii. The American Civil War would play out in just about the same way it had in our timeline, except perhaps with America having to maintain its West Coast military, it might mean they might have a few more financial problems, but they would still end up winning the war. Coming out of the war, America would keep looking for more ways to expand its empire. Russia, however, might come to see American rule over Japan as a threat to its hold over East Asia, with their relations growing quite tense. The Russians would keep Alaska, which would hurt them financially at first, but eventually would see a return once gold is discovered in the region. However, with the arrival of many American gold miners, Russia would likely not be able to hold on to the territory, likely seeing a rebellion, similar to what happened with Texas against the Mexicans in our timeline. The US might end up seeing value in asserting its influence over China and Korea, seeing potential economic benefit, while a new generation of Japanese Christians, produced by the Third Great Awakening, saw an opportunity to spread their form of Christianity, likely being a mix of American Protestantism and traditional aspects of Buddhism and Shinto. This would probably end up sparking some sort of conflict between the US and China, probably resulting from Chinese attacks on American missionaries, resulting in an American attack. This would result in an easy American victory over the weak Qing dynasty, resulting in American occupation of some parts of China and probably the leasing of some port cities to the US. Seeing an opportunity, other European powers would try to get in on the occupation of China, resulting in a scramble for China of sorts. The US would still wage war against Spain, getting Puerto Rico, Cuba, Guam, the Philippines, and several other islands, which would go to further solidify American domination of the Pacific. Still having a tense relationship with Russia, the US would likely form an alliance with the UK in order to deter any potential Russian aggression. However, by the time the First World War broke out, the US would likely have to put aside its grievances with the Russians in order to fight alongside the Allies against the Central Powers. During the war, the US would take many German colonies in the Pacific while sending over troops to France in order to secure victory over the Germans. Russia would still likely face revolution, but in this timeline, with the US holding a major presence in East Asia, the Americans would have a great reason to want to stop Bolshevism, as they wouldn't want any communistic ideas spreading into their holdings. The Russian Civil War would expand into a greater Amero-Bolshevik war, with the Americans using their superior numbers and military might to defeat the Bolsheviks, likely occupying parts of Russian East Asia, adding it to its growing Pacific Empire. And so, coming out of the conflict, America would emerge as a dominant colonial power alongside its ally, or perhaps rival, Britain. But will the Americans be able to hold on to their new colonial holdings? Will their alliance with the British survive, or will new conflicts arise between them? Only time will tell. And there's another video done. 3 down and only 1 more to go. I sure hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to Mr. Z. And if you'd like, maybe you can come on over to my channel where I regularly post content just like this. So, that's it for today's video. Well, till next time, see ya.